So in this video, we're going to look at how circles have equations that are on a graph. And this is tied closely to our distance formula. So let's just review that real quick. The distance between 2 points in a graph, x1, y1, x2, y2, is the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And the reason why that is because the way that we can define a circle is by the equidistant. The distance is always the same from a point on a single point on the graph. So, for example, if I do a graph like this, where I put a center at 2, 2, and then I have a circle that's going to have a radius of 3. And so, for example, it would look something like this. I'm just going 3 away from this point 2, 2. And what that means is every point on the circle, whatever that point is, we're going to call that point xy, is going to be 3 units away. The distance is 3 from the point 2, 2. So if I substitute that information into this equation, I'm going to say the distance is 3 equals the square root of, and then I'm going to go from point x to 2, so x minus 2, right? X1 is going to be x, x2 is going to be 2 for our 2 points that are on here, right? Our 2 points are x comma y and 2 comma 2. X comma y is just this general point that we're trying to use to represent every point on the graph. And then plus y minus 2 squared, because y is y1 and then 2 is y2, because a point is 2, 2 as the graph. And then if I look at this, if I just simply square both sides of it, I get 9 equals, the square goes away, and so it turns out to just be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 2 squared. And we find out that the basic equation for a circle is very simple. What it is it's this. It is the radius squared equals, so do you see how the radius was 3, and so I do 3 squared to get 9? And then it's always going to be what we call x minus h and y minus k. You'll find out that h and k get used as x and y coordinates of vertexes and centers and things like that a lot in algebraic geometry. And so this is the general form of a circle. And so we call this theorem 11.13. And the general form of a circle where h comma k is the center and r is the radius. And it just comes directly from the distance formula. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. You can take an already drawn circle. So let's just do some examples here. So if I take a circle like this, and it goes through these points right here, right? And so if I say, what is the equation of this circle? Well, you start by identifying the center, which in this case is -4 comma 3. That's our center. And then because of the way I drew this one, the radius is just going to be 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. And so you have a radius of 5. And so using the formula here, you get x minus a -4. H is the x coordinate of the center, plus y minus 3. 3 is the y is k, which is the y coordinate of the center. And then that just equals the radius, which we identified as 5 squared. So the equation of this circle is simply x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 25. And so any point xy that makes this equation right here true is going to be on this circle. And so it's a very nice, easy way to figure out what those points are. The other things you can do is you can graph a circle. If I say graph this circle, x plus, let's do x minus 2 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 4. Well, remember our general form is this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And so because of this minus, If I do x minus 2, that means that the x-coordinate of the vertex is positive 2. Or vertex, I mean center. And so in this case, our center is 2 for x, and then this is a positive 1 because it's got to be y minus 1. And then our radius, and this is the thing that students tend to make a lot of mistakes on, is you have to take the square root of 4. So the radius of 4 is just going to be 2. And so you do 2 comma 1, that's your center. Usually when you graph it, what you do is you go up, you go in the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. That direction is the easiest way to count your radius. And so up 2, over 2, down 2, to the left 2, and so my circle ends up looking like this. That is the equation of that circle. You can have a problem like this where you say, find the equation of a circle with center 2 comma negative 3 and passes through 4 comma 4. And so if to do the equation of a circle, remember it is the x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So the 3 things you need are the x-coordinate of the center, the y-coordinate of the center, and the radius. Well, based on this information from example 3, we know the x and the y-coordinate of the center. So we know our problem is going to be x minus 2 squared plus y minus a negative 3 squared, which is just the same as y plus 3 squared, equals, and then we need to find out what this r is squared. Well, r, if I graph this information, 2, negative 3, and then it passes through the point 4, 4, r is simply the distance from 2, negative 3 to 4, 4. And so you apply the distance formula to find the radius. And so the distance formula is going to give you 2 minus 4 squared plus negative 3 minus 4 squared, which gives you 4 plus 49, which just equals square root of 53. So the radius here is the square root of 53. But when you do square root of 53 squared, it just equals 53. So the equation of this circle with center 2, negative 3 that passes through the point 4 comma 4 is just x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 53. And that's the equation. So you can take a graph and find the circle, the equation of the circle. You can take the a equation of a circle and you can make a graph. You can take an equation of a circle and find the center and the radius, or you can take information like this, the center and a point that it passes through, and write the equation. One other one that you could do would be this. Find the equation of a circle that has 4, negative 1, and negative 2, 5 as endpoints of a diameter. And so what this one is identified is you do 4, negative 1, negative 2 over 5 up, and that represents a diameter of the circle we're trying to draw. And so the circle is going to look something like this. Well, on this one, we need to know what the radius is, and we need to know what the center is. Well, the center is always the midpoint of our diameter. And so we do the midpoint formula to start on this one, where we do 4, it's x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2, if you've forgotten that formula. So 4 plus negative 2 over 2, and negative 1 plus 5 over 2. So just applying the midpoint formula there. So the midpoint of our diameter, the point between those 2 points, turns out to just be 1 comma 2. So again, now we know our formula is x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals, and then we need our radius squared. Well, the radius is just the distance from the center to one of these 2 points. And so 4 minus 1 squared plus 2 minus a negative 1 squared, so it's going from the center to that point. That just turns out to be square root of 18, but the square root of 18 squared is just 18. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 18.